2023 proving to be a rough year for America's beer market, with Americans drinking less of it than any other year this century.
This stat really surprised me. It's leading the decline in sales was Anheuser-Busch, no surprise there, as it faced boycotts over its Bud Light partnership with transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney.
Our next guest called this deal a big mistake. Former Anheuser-Busch executive Anson Frericks joins us now. You call it a big mistake. Tell us why it's a big mistake.
Well, good morning. And if you recall that beer sales might be down, but that's really just a Bud Light issue. If you take a look at it, beer sales at Miller Lite, Coors Light, Yuengling, Modelo, they're way up for the year. And one of the problems that you obviously had with Bud Light this year was obviously the Dylan Mulvaney partnership, but the bigger issue has been the response. Bud Light's done a lot since that Dylan Mulvaney partnership. They tripled their marketing spend over the summer. They did partnerships with Peyton Manning this fall. They just signed a $100 million contract with UFC and Dana White, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. The one thing that they haven't done is they haven't gone back to their customers, who they called fratty and out of touch, and just apologized that they first off called those consumers those terms. And then secondarily, they haven't gone out and said, hey, Bud Light moving forward is just going to get back to football, get back to doing sports, do back to backyard barbecues. Those are things that people want. And they can spend all the money they want. But until they do that, I don't see these sales turning around anytime soon.
Yeah, why haven't they done that? Because I look at Peyton Manning with a beer in his hand, with a Bud Light in his hand, and I think more about why is Peyton Manning doing that than I do about Bud Light. Like, why haven't they taken those steps?
I don't think they've taken those steps right now. You know, unfortunately, the company's been captured by some of its largest shareholders. People like BlackRock. BlackRock's the largest asset management company in the country. BlackRock is one of the leading companies that pushes this environmental, social, governance agenda that tells companies that they're owners of that they have to get involved in these divisive social, political issues. And they're doing that because a lot of the money that BlackRock manages, it comes from California. It comes from New York. So unfortunately, I think that Anheuser-Busch is scared of BlackRock and is scared of its largest shareholders. And unfortunately, they need to take really who their real shareholders are. It's not necessarily BlackRock. It's all the folks that watch this show. It's everyday Americans who their 401ks and their retirement savings are managed, that are investors that are counting on Bud Light to actually get it right and get their marketing right, get humor back, get beer sales back, because that's what's going to pay for their retirement, and not necessarily worry about some of these large asset managers like BlackRock that are theoretically managing their money.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad you brought up BlackRock, because I think that's a big part of the whole ESG push and why Bud Light did this. But, you know, when I first saw this stat, I just thought, I knew Bud Light was part of it, but I just imagined people were maybe not buying Bud Light. Now they're going to buy Miller, or they're going to buy, you know, some other beer brand. I also think there's a lot of people just trying to, you know, have lower carbs in their, less carbs in their diet. I mean, how much of it is part of that?
So there's definitely part of that. If you take a look at folks right now, yes, they're drinking less, but also they're choosing other brands like spirits, like wine, who've done a better job of premiumizing sort of the image of those brands. But also there's other interesting non-alcoholic options that are kind of taking the place of beer occasions. There's a great brand, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, something called Liquid Death, for example. It's a water company that is put into a metal can. It's marketed a lot like beer. It's humorous. It frankly has a lot of the humorous ads that Bud Light used to have in their old marketing. And they're stealing a lot of occasions from beer companies as well. So there's a lot of things that are going on that are not just Bud Light in this industry, but more the broader beer category has got to get back to elevating the image of beer. It's got to get back to humor. It's got to get back to fun. That's what was doing a really good job of driving this business for years. And unfortunately, they've lost a lot of that over the last couple of years.
Anson, some industries have recognized that this going woke thing's not working out well for them. The tech sector has seen a big drop in job-related postings for DEI, down 44% in 2023 from 2022. So do you think companies will eventually realize this is not only is it not helping our bottom line to do this whole woke thing, but it's actually hurting us?
And really, I think there's two reasons for this, but I think the pendulum will swing back. The first one's a legal reason. If you remember earlier this year, you had the Supreme Court that they had a case against Harvard University.
Yeah.
Harvard University, they were using affirmative action policies to effectively discriminate against Asian applicants by putting quota systems and limiting the number of Asian applicants and Asian students that would be admitted to Harvard. This was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court and overturned. So by default, a lot of these corporations used similar affirmative action programs to limit the number of Asian people, white people at these companies. And by default, these are now illegal as well. So you're going to see a lot of the pendulum swinging back. These programs aren't working. But then more importantly, these programs, they just weren't popular at companies. At the end of the day, most people and most employees, they want to be judged on merit.
Yeah,
they want to be hired on
that's
merit.
exactly right. You know, how crazy is it to want to live and exist in a meritocracy where you can earn it yourself? Anson Frericks, thanks for joining us. My family left beer, but they went towards these like truly seltzer water things. So I don't know. We'll see how they enjoy
Well,
that.
you're saying that.
Thank you, Anson.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Anson.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.